Okay, we're going to get started here. Welcome to week 1, live lecture 2. I had to push the lecture back about a half hour ahead, and I appreciate you guys being very patient with me. I just had a crazy thing happen and had to shift some things for the day. Nevertheless, we are going to get started. I'm not sure exactly how long this lecture is going to be. It might be a little shorter. So we'll see, if anybody comes in, and I was going to kind of open it up for critique for the most part. But I do have some things that we need to cover that we didn't go through yesterday. So let me get started here. And, like I said, if you have any questions going forward, if you're having any issues, let me know. Try to help guide you to the solutions. Alrighty, let me bring my chat area up here again. Okay, so week 1, we went over your discussion 1 yesterday, and then we also went over your assignment 1 as well. I did a demo yesterday. If you missed that, definitely go back and listen to that recording. I did a step-by-step demonstration of how to approach the assignment 1, and then I also showed a video that also explained pretty much the same basic steps to create your cinema graph. So hopefully you guys are getting started with that, and everything's good to go. Assessment 1 is going to be a quiz. So what I would suggest to you is basically, kind of go into your course media page and for week 1, and read the article that's there, the articles, and all of the supportive videos that are in week 1 for review for this selections and mass quiz. The learning objectives covered for this quiz, and this is a 50-point quiz, is implement correct usage of Photoshop's layers and clipping masks. We're going to be talking about clipping masks today, actually. Number 2, identify which masking technique would be appropriate for separating a given subject from its background. Be careful to read the question to help discourage cheating. Some questions will seem just like others, but the values have changed, or what is asked for is changed. So be sure you know what the question is asking for and the values to use. You will have 95 minutes to answer the 16 questions in the quiz. It says here, here's actually the course media link here. So if you want to kind of go in that direction before you start this quiz, I would definitely recommend that, and then just kind of go forward with the quiz. Let me know if you have any questions, and like I said, I'm going to be going over clipping masks today in class, but good luck with that quiz. All right, let me go back to my slide here. And I'm going to kind of skip ahead because this is the same slides that you saw yesterday, but there's some things that we didn't cover here, so I'm going to kind of skip ahead. All right. So we talked about, just in general, some selection tools yesterday. We looked at the lasso tool and the marquee tool. We looked at quick mask and how to mask an object image. We looked at how to use the pen tool in Photoshop, custom shape tool, color range selector, and channel pull. I'm not sure if I showed the channel pull. We'll take a look at that in a second here. Mask properties window. So when you start a mask, there is a properties window. You can adjust the feather and density and mask edge with fine layer mask. So let me go ahead and open up Photoshop right now so we can take a look at that. Give me 1 second, you guys. Let me pull some things around here. Okay. All right, now I can share my Photoshop. All right, so hopefully you guys can see this. So we talked about the selection tools. Like I said, we went through your selection, your marquee tools, your lasso tools, magic wand tools, a couple other the shape tools, pen tool. But what we didn't go over were the clipping masks. So we're going to take a look at that right now. So I'm going to bring up my, my layers. Put this up here. I'm going to unlock this layer. And I just want to show you when I throw a mask on here right away. So your presets kind of, let's see here. Oh, trash is here. Hold on. Let me open up another image to get this in here real quick. I'm going to take my magic wand tool. I'm just going to select the white part of this. Actually, let me unlock this first. And I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard, and that way I can just pull this image right into this area here. So I have 2 images. All right. So when you select a mask, you have feather and density that you can play around with in the properties window. So let's go ahead and bring that up. Okay. So basically what you can do is refine your layer mask so that, oops, you know, the density of your mask, it's bigger here, you can adjust. So this is set at 100, so that's going to take out, you know, 100% of that image. If I were to dial that down, it's going to be a little lighter. Let me show you a little bit. So the density, it's almost like an opacity in a way, so it's a little lighter and you have to keep clicking. The feather is basically, sorry, what it means, and the selection is just kind of feathering out that selection. So it's almost like gradiating that selection out. So it's fading out a little bit looser as you go. So that's kind of nice for certain purposes, like say if you have a lot of detail and you kind of want to make sure that it doesn't look so cut out. You know, that's something that you can play around with. But you can kind of play around with the options here. It's almost like a montage type of effect when you do it this way. You kind of see how that changes and it kind of blends in together. And this is a harder edge. Here's a softer edge. So you can see it's almost like a montage of sorts. You're kind of blending those 2 images together. So that's another another thing that you can kind of play around with the properties within your mask properties. You can use the smudge tool, the brush tool like I just showed you, the blur tool adjustments such as contrast within your masking options here. So you can, where's the blur? Let's see. Let me just like shift this around here, hold on. Oh yeah, up and filter, it's in blur. So you can definitely do some blurs. You go to filter and blur. Let's do a Gaussian blur. You can also kind of do a blur on your mask as well. It's like, you can't really tell, big deal. Let me pull this up a little bit more. There we go. So you can do blurs on that. It's a blur, it's a real high blur. You can, let's see here. You can change the contrast in here too. And what I would do is probably do like a layer adjustment, new adjustment layer, sorry. And that would be applied above your mask, and then you can you know, adjust that within it. So you don't necessarily have to do a layer adjustment outside of the mask. You can actually do a layer adjustment on the actual mask too. So that's an option if you want to kind of try to get it to look a little bit closer in wherever you're setting this image and masking it into, or masking it together. Don't forget your blending modes too. You can kind of play around with. This is the dissolve. I don't know if you guys just saw that. It's being placed on the flower on the right here. Overlay kind of overlays that image on top. The blending modes are kind of fun to play around with for the most part. So play around with that, you know, kind of see what toggle back and forth with the background color. If you use X as that key, and that would be whether you add or subtract your selection of your mask. All right, so we're going to talk about clipping masks. We're going to talk about how to make a clipping mask, how to put a mask on a clip layer, and what can be clipped into a layer: textures, photos, adjustment layers, not filters. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me close out of here. I want to save this. So I'm just going to do a little demo, a couple things that, you know, kind of play around with if you want to. So the advantages of using a clipping mask are that you can actually take an image, and let's open up this one and I can show you an original image, and say, for instance, here we go. You wanted something in this TV screen. You can actually use a clipping mask to make it look like there's something actually in this TV screen using another image. Okay, so let me open up two images here. So the TV screen, and let's say I want to open up this one, which is, let's see, did I open up the same one? No, it's taking a while here. Okay, hold on, let me stop sharing because something funky's going on with my computer. All right, something weird's happening here. Let me open up that image again. Let me close timeline here. Oh, okay. You know what? Let me close out of this real quick because there's something weird going on, and I think it's my Photoshop acting up here. So let me, hold on. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. Close out, go back in. Kind of usually helps the situation there. Give me 1 minute, guys. All right, so we got that open. Let's try this again. Let me stop sharing. I think my Photoshop was having some issues there. So let me open that TV screen up again. Try this again. So I'm going to open up two separate images. There we go. That's the one that I was trying to get open. It wasn't doing it for me. All right, so we have this image and this image. We want to do a select all, and we're just going to do, you can either pull it in or do Command C to copy. I'm just going to pull it and drag it in here. Drag and drop. Okay, so I have two layers. I'm going to unlock this layer here so I can take control over it. And what I want to do is I want to make this image, I'm going to go up to Edit, Transform. I'm going to scale this down a little bit. Hold the Shift key in I'm going to make it kind of like the size of the TV screen, maybe go over a little bit. There we go, like that. What I want to do is I want to make this TV screen, or this picture, to look like it's part of the TV screen, okay? So a clipping mask can do this. One way you can do it is, and let me go back to making it bigger again. I apologize. Let's see if I can make it bigger. There we go. So I can do, I want to do that, hold on. A clipping mask right away. By doing so, you want to do Command and the J. So, I'm sorry, not Command J, Command Option G on this layer. So Command Option G is going to make it a clipping mask. Now, we did not create, before I do that, we did not create a shape yet. So what we need to do is go onto the screen and just do like a marquee first of where that would be. Oops. Hold on, let me move this over. Marquee, kind of in there. Oops. No, I can't see the background here. Okay, so I'm doing it. Hold on, you guys. I don't know if my Photoshop is acting weird. Give me 1 second. Okay, guys, sorry. All right, so what you're gonna need to do, you can take, this is the wrong way to do it, so I just wanna show you real quick. You can take the eraser tool, kind of erase around this, kind of fit it into your screen. But the only bad thing about this is, you know, you won't be able to go back and change this. I know this is like really bad here, but you won't be able to go back and actually change this if you wanted to, because it's erasing the actual image. So, let me go back to history here. So what you want to do is actually create a mask on this top layer. Now, before we do that, I want to actually do, you can take the marquee tool, selection tool, and I'm just going to do it real quick here. Over top of that. And let me pull this up here. Give it an opacity so I can see it. Take your marquee tool over the edge there. There we go. And then put a mask onto it. And you can do it that way. But there's another way. That's just creating a mask. Clipping masks allow you to make it look a little bit more real into the actual layer below it. So the way that you would do that, oops, okay, here, let me kind of delete this layer out. So I'm going to actually scale this down a little bit here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on my screen. And I'm going to take one of my, I'm going to do the magnetic lasso tool. And I'm just going to trace around this screen here. Oh, actually, let me do the pen tool. I think this will be a little bit better here. Give me a little bit more of a, oops, an accurate line. And then I can go back and actually change this if I wanted to, just using the direct selection tool. If I wanted to, you know, adjust my lines, curves, anything, I can go in and kind of like I showed you yesterday, and make it more precise here. Okay. So now we're going to make a selection. So we narrowed our paths palette up and then make that selection. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to do, we're going to do a mask, and that's going to mask right into our layer. But then the clipping mask is the alt option in between the layers. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow us to do a couple things. We can play around with the blend of this, so it looks like it's in the TV a little bit more. Like it's actually you can see the shine off of it. Without the blend, you can see kind of how it looks kind of maybe pasted in there. So you can kind of play around with different blend modes and make it look a little bit more realistic. So clipping mask can be good just to kind of, you know, get that specific detail in there. Okay. There's another way to play around with a type layer too. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to go File, New. Let's do inches. Let's just do like 4x4. Show you. Okay. I'm going to place in here. See some grass here. Crop this. So I'm going to make the grass like the background. All right, now I'm going to take the type tool. Actually, I'm going to do a new layer. I'm going to fill this with white. little white. And then I'm going to take the type tool and I'm just going to type summer. Make it real big. And I want it to be big, bold letters. So let me change that so it's a little bit bigger. Maybe not that big. There we go. Okay. All right, so we have that, and then I'm going to import, I'm going to open some other images here. I'm going to open up this flower image. I'm going to select all. Oops, let's get rid of that one. Get rid of that one. I'm going to paste it in here. I'm going to actually, before I do that, paste it in here. Trash this here. I'm going to get rid of the outline. Oops. I have to delete this layer, or unlock this layer first before I delete what's in here. Okay. Do that. All right, so I'm going to pull this up. Let's go a little bit here. Put the grass up here. And let's see here. Oops, sorry guys, give me 1 minute here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put that textured layer. Shift all my things around here. Get rid of this. Let me pull my layers box out because I can't see. Above we're in summer, and we're also going to pull this above that. And we're going to hide these so that we just see the summer and the background color going on there. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to select the this actual layer here, and we're going to go up to layer clipping mask. And that is going to be, oh, I just lost my, sorry guys, I just lost my palette here. That's going to clip out what's kind of in the letter form here and clip out the actual letters so that you have this showing. You could do the same thing as well here. All you need to do is do an alt click in between the layers is what creates a clipping mask as well. You don't have to go up to layer, create clipping mask. You can also release it too if you didn't want that to happen. You can do release, or you can go up here and do it again. So it's like a couple ways you can do it. What's nice about a clipping mask is you can actually put multiple images within the mask, like I showed you previously, but here too inside the actual letters itself. You can shift, you know, this around as well, the image behind it. So there's some really cool things that you can kind of play around with in this regards when it comes to a different look, maybe for a headline, for an advertisement, if you're dealing with typography, a big headline, for instance. It's something you can kind of play around with, and it's kind of cool. Kind of some fun things to play around with. All right, I'm going to show you actually a quick video here that's in your week 1 resources as a video that you guys need to watch anyway. It's a quick little 5-minute thing. And it talks about masking out a part of an image, and I think this would be nice to see because we're talking about masks. So I'm going to go ahead and play this right now.
Photoshop. You're going to start thinking, as you begin to edit images inside of Photoshop, you're going to start thinking about ways that you can preserve information within the original image. And this is a great habit to get into. In fact, there's several built-in capabilities within Photoshop that allow you to do just that. One of the things that we want to do to this image is bring in the clouds from this sky layer behind the California sign. Based upon your knowledge right now, you would probably come over and choose the eraser tool. And with the eraser tool, you would have the California layer active, and you would simply click and drag. You'll notice that those clouds are being revealed. Once you let go of the mouse, you'll notice that those pixels are removed. So you're getting the result that you want, but you're really limiting your ability to make any further modifications to the image. This is a destructive edit. You've literally removed the pixel information from the image. And you want to avoid that if possible. So I'm going to go ahead and undo this. Command-Z on the Mac, Control-Z on Windows. One thing that you can do is work with something called a layer mask. A layer mask will give you the ability to hide pixels on a particular layer, which is exactly what we need for this particular example. To add a layer mask, you'll just come down to the Layers panel and click the Add Layer Mask button. You'll notice when you do that, the layer does in fact have a mask. It's all white, which means it's allowing you to see all of the pixels on that layer. Now, these thumbnails are actually pretty important when it comes to working with layer masks. So what I want to do is just right-click in the empty space here within the Layers panel, or Control-click if you're on a Mac, and simply choose Large Thumbnails from the contextual menu. When you do that, you'll see that these thumbnails get a little bit bigger, so it's easier to see what's going on. So as you work with this mask, you'll find that if you work with white color, you're going to reveal pixels on that layer. But if you work with a black color, you're going to hide pixels on that layer. And of course, there's also gray variations there, but let's just focus on black and white right now. So if we come over and choose something like the brush tool, and with the brush tool, we select the brush size, and our foreground color is set to black. If we click and drag to start painting, you'll notice we're beginning to reveal the clouds in the background, and we're removing that foreground information that we're seeing on the California layer. Now, once I let go of the mouse, you can see the mask. We can see the black area of the mask, and remember, the black area will hide pixels on this layer. If you want to view just the mask, you can do that. Hold down the Option key on the Mac, Alt on Windows, and click on that thumbnail, and you'll see the mask. This could be a great way to work. If you have your paintbrush tool, you can see the areas that you need to clean up, and you can come over, click and drag, and paint over those areas so the area that you want to be black is in fact black. To get back to the previous view, just Option click or Alt click on Windows on that thumbnail again, and you can see the mask effect on that California layer. Now, you don't have to work in this way. You could have a selection already before you create the mask. So let's go ahead and remove this mask by right-clicking on it or control-clicking on it and choosing Delete Layer Mask, and that mask will be removed. With the California layer still active, let's come over and choose one of our selection tools. I'm going to come over and choose the Polygonal Lasso tool, and I'm just going to make a fairly crude selection. Again, if you're working in a real-world project, you'd probably spend a little bit more time than I'm about to spend making this selection. But I'll just come over here and select this sign. I'll come up along the side of the green pole. And again, like I said, it's fairly crude. In the interest of time, I just want to kind of get through this so you can see how an existing selection can be used to make a layer mask. So I'm going to come around the pole here, along the bottom. I'll come underneath the sign, and I'll come back to the beginning. And now that selection is complete. All you have to do with the California layer still active is click that same Add Layer Mask button. And when you do, all of the pixels outside of the selection are masked out. Now, clearly, I didn't do the best job, but you could come in with your brush tool and paint with black or white to refine that mask. So what's nice about this is it affords a great deal of flexibility. You can always come in and make modifications to it because you still have all that pixel information there. What's important when working in the layers panel, if you want to manipulate the mask, you want to make sure that that mask thumbnail is selected. If you have the image selected and you start painting, you're actually painting pixels on the image. That's not what you want, so go ahead and undo that. So just be aware of that as you work with layer masks, but layer masks give you the ability to work in a non-destructive fashion, retaining all the original pixel information within the image. And like I said, it affords the most flexibility when editing your images.
All right. So very, very, very cool information. I think that was a great way to show you some other techniques on how to mask and some things to be aware of too when you're working in a mask. So hopefully those, kind of showing you those techniques will kind of give you a better sense of what you can do with certain types of composites and what's kind of like the better method for what you're trying to do. All right, I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break here, and then we'll come back and talk about a few more things, and then kind of wrap it up. So hang tight here. Okay, looks like our 5 minutes is up here. I just wanted to show you a couple things in, again, the classroom here to take a look at when you're working on your not only are you working on your projects, but also studying for your quiz. Just make sure you're going into this course media page, accessing the lynda.com videos. Very important, especially for your project one, your assignment one. Just make sure you're kind of hitting upon all of your required readings and videos. But I just wanted to point out again, lynda.com has a great chapter 1 and chapter 3 section for your assignment 1 that covers how to create and export a cinematograph and how to adjust it. So if you're, if you're stuck and you watch the lecture from yesterday and you still can't get something to work, you can always reach out to me too. But this is always a great review to do, to listen to the videos to see if maybe you can figure it out and problem solve yourself as well. And this just kind of gives you that supportive resources to get you where you need to be. So make sure you're checking that out. And here is the article that you need to read as well. It talks about the animation timeline workflow. And just kind of goes step by step on how to animate layers. So this is just a basic animation article. But I would definitely check out the lynda.com videos about the actual specific cinematograph section here, chapters 1 and chapter 3, for supportive information. All right. I really was opening up, I was going to open up for critique today, just as I thought maybe I'd have some people in here, and it looks like I don't have anybody yet. So I kind of allotted a lot of time for that. So let's go forward here real quick. I want to show you a couple examples. Oops. Of composited images, just to kind of get you guys kind of inspired here. So we can do some inspiration here. I just did like a Google image search. So here are some examples of composited images. So you're taking a couple images or more into one original photograph. And I just did a Google image search here, so you can, there's some really cool stuff, there's some like pretty kind of, obviously we know that that's not real, this dolphin and this cow, but it looks so, it's done so well that it's very convincing. So that's kind of what we want to do here. We want to try to convince people. And some are kind of surreal, some are kind of like, for this example, there's surreal examples as well. But, there's some neat techniques and some great inspirational examples in here. And some are actually, used in ads. I mean, obviously that's what we're, that's kind of what we're training on here, so that when, there could be an option in the future for an advertisement that you're creating that needs a composited image to make it look a certain way, a certain persuasive strategy in that regards. There's some really pretty interesting stuff here. But yeah, just to kind of get inspired, by what you see here, and you can kind of get an idea of things that you can try, looks that you can get, creating a mood. You know, and you can actually do that with portraits. Some pretty portraits kind of composited in. Here's one with a camera and some keys and some filter and image aesthetics to kind of give it a mood. There's tons of videos too. If you're having issues, you could definitely Google Google that. Here's some great resources here that you can check out. This kind of shows you a little bit of how you can manipulate an image to go into a background like this. This is a great example, step by step on what to do. And just going through these tutorials is how you learn. You kind of have to practice and learn. I used to do tutorials all the time through my classes in my undergrad and my graduate studies. We were handed, these tutorials, and we just had to go step by step, and that's how you learn. You have to go learn the tools, learn the methods, learn the techniques, understand the tools, understand how you can do a certain thing to an image or type, how you can improve it so it doesn't look like it's just pasted on there. Adjusting color balance, you can adjust the color balance of your image to appear as if it belongs in this world, okay? You don't want it to look like it's just sticking out and it's not supposed to be there and just paste it in there. You want to make it believable that this composited image is the original image. You want to make it convincing looking. So this is kind of the step-by-step process of doing that. Lots of layers, adjustment layers, kind of like we talked about before, kind of getting it blended in there, looking like it's part of it. This is a very extensive one, but here we go. Here's the end product of that beginning. So here's the end, and here's the beginning images. So pretty impressive for the most part. So you can definitely get some great inspiration online, and just pull from that for your projects. I'm trying to think if I have any examples. Let me see if I actually have any work examples of, I believe I do, of things that I have done in my past that composited images. Let me go see. I have a portfolio I can maybe pull up here. Okay, so let's see here. I don't know if I actually masked any images. Oh, I kind of masked out these images down here, composited images for this particular brochure here. So yeah, I mean, there's stuff that you can do that, you know, will definitely serve you a great purpose and need for, you know, projects in the real world. So I don't have this one in here. I meant to put it in here and I don't see it, of my work. This one is like kind of composited too with the coffee cup cover design here. So yeah, I mean, real world examples are nice to see because you can at least see it in, you know, kind of in the works there and how designers, you know, how a designer would actually use that to their advantage. So I wanted to kind of show you, in my experience, what I have used it for. I have a ton of other work that I don't have in there that definitely shows that I've worked for 3 publications, and in those publications I worked, you know, I did the whole magazine for each of those publications, and there was a lot involved with that. There was a lot of clipping masks being done, montages for the covers, and not only for that, but also like advertisements within it. So I definitely use clipping masks and masks a lot when doing certain projects in regards to that. So you guys will definitely need to learn the techniques going forward for your own purpose. Okay, so that's kind of where we're gonna kind of wrap it up. I have, you know, another, you know, we have some more time here, but I was gonna open it up for critique and see if you guys had anything going on. But because of that, I'm just gonna kind of sit in here, see if anybody pops in, and let me know if you guys have any questions. I will be here, and you know, we can, if you want to send your project to me, I can take a look at it before you submit it. So I am here to help you guys. Just remember that. So, talk to me. All right, thanks, guys.